Right now, somewhere in your mind, there may be a conversation happening that never actually happened. Someone says something. You answer. They react. You finally say what you wish you had said the first time. And for a few minutes, it feels real. You could be taking a shower, driving home, sitting alone, or lying in bed. Your body stays exactly where it is, but your mind leaves. And when you come back, 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes have passed. If you know exactly what I'm talking about, you're not strange. You're not alone. For some people, these imagined conversations become a detailed part of everyday life. From the outside, it looks like you're simply staring into space. From the inside, you're having an entire conversation. You're choosing words, replaying reactions, changing the ending. And sometimes, you're finally getting the response you wanted. That's where this becomes psychologically interesting. Your brain is constantly trying to predict what might happen next. It remembers the past, simulates the future, and rehearses difficult situations. Before an important meeting or difficult phone call, you might rehearse what you'll say. The brain is essentially running simulations. But sometimes, the simulation becomes more than preparation. It becomes a place you return to. And one of the biggest reasons is control. Think about what happens inside an imagined conversation. Nobody interrupts you. Nobody misunderstands you. You don't freeze or think of the perfect response 3 hours later. Inside your head, you can finally say everything exactly the way you wanted, and the other person responds exactly the way you need them to. Reality rarely guarantees that. Real conversations are unpredictable. People misunderstand, become defensive, interrupt, or simply don't give you the answer you wanted. Imagination removes that uncertainty. You control the timing. You control the words. You control the ending. When reality feels complicated, that control can feel incredibly comforting. This is why imagined conversations are often connected to things that were left unresolved. Maybe someone hurt you, and you never explained how deeply it affected you. Maybe you wanted an apology that never came. Maybe you were misunderstood or stayed quiet during an argument, only to think of the perfect response later. Your mind can keep returning because, emotionally, the story never received an ending. So the brain creates one. Not necessarily because you're obsessed with the past, sometimes because your mind is still trying to process it, and this can start surprisingly early. Think about a child rehearsing an apology, or a teenager rewriting the same message 3 times before never sending it. It may look like overthinking, but underneath it, there can be something simpler. The mind is trying to feel safe before taking a risk. When you don't know how another person will react, imagining the conversation gives you a rehearsal space. You can practice being honest without actually being vulnerable. You can experience the outcome without facing the uncertainty. Over time, the brain can learn that this creates relief, and that is when the habit becomes powerful. Because the imagined version is always available. You don't have to wait or risk rejection. You can simply close your eyes and enter the scene. People who do this frequently may also process experiences deeply. They may remember a sentence from months ago, notice a tiny change in someone's tone, or replay a facial expression long after the conversation ended. Because they process so much internally, their minds can become very detailed places. They don't just remember what happened, they imagine what could have happened, what should have happened, and what they wish they had said. But here's the paradox. The better the imagined world becomes at giving you relief, the harder it can become to return to reality. Because reality asks for something, imagination doesn't. Action. In your head, you can have the perfect conversation. In real life, you have to start it. In your head, the other person finally understands. In real life, they might not. In your head, you receive the apology you've been waiting for. In real life, you may have to accept that it never comes. Reality is much messier. When reality feels exhausting, the mind returns to the place where everything makes sense. So ask yourself, what does this imagined conversation give me that reality isn't giving me right now? Is it understanding, safety, recognition, connection, control, closure? Because the content of your imagined conversations can reveal more than the conversation itself. If you constantly imagine defending yourself, maybe being understood matters deeply to you. If you repeatedly imagine someone apologizing, maybe there is an unresolved hurt underneath. If you imagine reconnecting with someone, maybe what you're really craving is connection. The scene is imaginary, but the emotion behind it can be completely real, and that's important. Imagining conversations doesn't automatically mean something is wrong with you. In many cases, it is simply how the mind processes experience. The problem isn't having an inner world. The problem appears when it becomes the only place where important emotional needs are met, because then imagination stops supporting your real life and starts replacing it. You may avoid conversations because you've already had them in your head, feel like you've resolved something without addressing it, or rehearse so much that you never act. And when you finally return to the present, there can be that strange feeling. Where did the time go? You were physically there, but mentally, you were somewhere else. Instead of asking, why am I like this? Try asking, what is my mind trying to give me? That question changes the perspective. Maybe your mind is giving you a safe place to practice honesty, closure you never received, or the feeling of being understood. Once you understand the need, you can begin meeting it outside your imagination, not perfectly, not all at once. Just one small step. Maybe you finally send the message or have the difficult conversation. Maybe you tell someone what you actually felt instead of rehearsing it for another week. Maybe you accept that you don't need perfect words. You just need honest ones. Because the goal isn't to destroy your imagination. Your ability to create entire conversations can also reflect emotional depth, sensitivity, and a powerful ability to imagine possibilities. The goal is balance. Let your mind rehearse when rehearsal helps, but don't let rehearsal become a substitute for living, because there is a difference between imagining a conversation and actually having one. One gives you control, the other gives you a chance to be known. Maybe that's the deeper reason you keep returning to these scenes, not because you want to escape reality, because somewhere inside you, there is a part of you that wants to be understood. So the next time you catch yourself having a conversation that never happened, don't immediately judge yourself. Pause, listen to what you're saying. Notice who you're talking to, and ask yourself what you are hoping to receive at the end of that conversation. The answer might tell you something your mind has been trying to say for a very long time. Maybe you've never needed to stop imagining. Maybe you've simply needed to understand what your imagination has been trying to give you. If you recognized yourself in this video, tell me in the comments, what kind of conversation do you have most often in your head? The one you wish you had? The one you wish you could redo? Or the one where, finally, someone understands you? And if this felt uncomfortably familiar, subscribe to Power by Silence. Because here, we explore the psychology behind the things you experience every day, but rarely say out loud.